So you remember the like 80s movie, The Predator?
Love that movie.
Such a great movie.
Yeah.
And what we do is one of our refs, last time was our ref James, he had way too much fun. I think he had a kill count of like 60 by the end of this. So he put on a ghillie suit. We played all in the dark. All the lights are off. We turned off his muzzle flash. We silenced his weapon. So you can't see him. You can't hear him.
Hey, you're listening to the Friends in Austin podcast. I'm your host, Justin Talent, and every week I bring you the stories of the people of Austin. Thank you for listening. Hey, welcome back to Friends in Austin. Today, my guest is Alex Avetian, and she has a company called Battleground Ranch, which is a place you can go. And how about you tell me exactly how it works, because it's very interesting.
Sure, yeah, I can give it the whole spiel. So Battleground Ranch is a tactical combat arena where we play essentially video games in real life. We use infrared guns where you can play different game modes. You can upgrade weapons out on the field, find perk boxes, ammo boxes, and upgrade. So it's a really long way of saying we play Call of Duty in real life, basically.
And how does it work? Is it augmented reality or?
No, not yet.
Okay.
That's you. You're now like 2 years ahead of me.
Okay.
As of right now, we use infrared guns, meaning it's closer to laser tag than anything else, in that there's no projectiles. We use infrared waves. So the guns are accurate up to 700 feet. We use red dot sights, and the guns are programmed in that they can function as one of 300 weapons.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so the way it works is every game mode is obviously structured different. So we can play like Battle Royale or 3-point domination, capture the flag, standard team deathmatch. But ultimately, in most games, you will select your class. So you'll select a character. That determines your standard carry. So let's say you want to be the sniper class, right? That means your first weapon, your primary will be a Barrett M82. Your secondary will be a Colt 1911. And then you get a melee weapon. So you get a combat knife as a melee weapon for that close proximity damage, right?
And how does that pick up on the sensor?
The way it works is you got to be within about 6 feet of the opposing team. Basically, you pull the trigger once to activate it, and it'll do automatic damage. Mm-hmm. So if you sneak up on like 4 players on the other team, you actually do damage to all 4 of them.
Okay. And this is the melee way that we're talking about now? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. But as far as just regular shots, there are 3 sensors on you. And we kept it really kind of minimal for a particular reason. There's 2 on your head for a headshot and 1 on the front of the gun. So there are no vests. There's none of that. We're trying to keep it as realistic as we could. And we try to make it a little difficult on you, right? Mm-hmm. I think biggest thing is when you hear the word laser tag, you automatically picture like a 10-year-old's birthday party in like a tiny room. Yeah, you run in for 15 minutes, bang, 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 and you get out. So this is very different. You actually have to be accurate. You have to aim, right, using red dot sights. If you're a good shot, you can hit a target at about 600-700 feet, because the hitbox is really only about 4 inches on the sensors itself. So you really got to aim. And and then if you're able to like pick up find a box out on the field, let's say you find a weapon box, you hit that button and you get a randomly generated weapon. So I always tell the players, listen, the box has a mind of its own. It's random, so you can get something really awesome like a machine gun, or you can get something really crappy like a frying pan as a melee weapon.
Was this inspired by the mystery box in Call of Duty Zombies?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like loot boxes, mystery. When we play Battle Royale, for example, we play where everybody starts with a common pistol, like a standard weapon, and then you find supply crates, like loot boxes where you're able to find more ammo. You can find aids like medic packs and band-aids, and you can find new weapons to stack.
Are there grenades or anything?
We have grenade launchers as an RPG. We theoretically could set up grenades. We just haven't done it yet. We do have claymore mines that we sometimes bring out.
Awesome. So where is this? Just, can you give me an idea in Austin of where I would go?
Oh, yeah. We are about a mile east of the racetrack. We're a mile east of COTA.
I don't know the COTA racetrack. Is it a go-kart racetrack?
Oh, no, it's the Circuit of the Americas.
Oh, the Circuit of Americas.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I never heard it called COTA before.
Yeah, it's Circuit of the Americas, yeah.
Okay.
So basically we're east of the airport.
Gotcha, yeah, so not too far.
Yeah.
Awesome. So this is really cool, and I mean, I haven't played laser tag since I was a kid, and you say it's different, and I remember playing laser tag as a kid, and I should have played it since then, because I'm sure even laser tag's come a long way, right? But
actually, you'd be surprised.
Not really?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. So kind of the whole reason that we started down this pathway is that so you have your air, the world of airsoft, right? You have this kind of own little world of paintball. And then there you have, all these upgrades you can do. You can buy more powerful, guns itself. There's kind of a lot of money you can dump in both of those hobbies, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
And then laser tag is just like a 10-year-old's birthday party, right? Okay. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot of fun. Like I love running around and shooting my friends, but it hasn't really evolved since like the 80s. And so we were thinking like the whole reason how this came about is my partner Sam, he was out in Australia because the guns are manufactured by a company in Australia. And him and a bunch of people when they were studying abroad just were like, hey, let's go to this place and play. And they played and he saw the capability of being able to like upgrade your weapons, right? And being able to find like ammo drops. And he's like, why the hell is this not basically Call of Duty recreated? Why is this still like marketed to 10-year-old, right?
It's a very good point.
Right? Why is this still set up like a little kid birthday party?
Absolutely. There's definitely an opportunity there because when you think about paintball, I always thought paintball was cool. I never got into it because the guns were expensive. The ammo was probably kind of expensive. It hurts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you don't have the ability with paintball to bring in this aspect of like, you know, the digital world.
Right. And I mean, I know I'm going to like get into a lot of trouble because the airsoft and paintball people are very particular, but my big problem with like airsoft and paintball has always been, it's a little bit of a pay to play. So if you're like going out with your friends and you just want to have a good time, where you'll go out there, you'll just rent the guns that they have, right? And then like a group of guys will show up who drop like $5,000 on weapons, right? On guns and they'll blow you out of the water, right? And same with airsoft. I mean, it's all about the patches. It's all about the outfit. It's a little bit of a military simulation cosplay almost, right? And so I don't think it's a good experience if you just want to go out and have a great time. There's not an equal playing field, right? And so with us is we provide all the tech and there's really, you know, no way for somebody to come in and kind of have an advantage unless they're just a really good shot and they're really great at strategy and commanding a team.
What are some tips for, so how does your place work? I mean, what are the team sizes? How could someone show up? Like let's say I went up by myself. Right.
Yeah. So there's a couple options. So there's, we restrict it to a max of 24 players on the field at any given time for a standard game. Because we play on 5 acres. And after a while, like you don't want 50 people running around. And it's just not as fun. There's not a lot of strategy there. So Thursday through Sunday, we have open games. So you want to come by yourself and bring a group of 2, group of 10, doesn't matter. You'll sign up on our website for the time slot. Like, hey, I want to come out, let's say Saturday, 3 p.m. and play 3-point domination because we have a set schedule of which game modes we play, which day for the weekend. And then others can join you. So you can play in a group and, let's say a 3v3 all the way up to a 12v12, right? Usually we try to sometimes move groups around as well to make sure it's a good size group to play. And then, of course, if you have a larger group or you want to do a private event or like a team building thing or bachelor parties, right? We could do private events and stuff during the week as well.
Cool. Can you drink there?
Yes, we are a BYOB facility.
Yes.
We do say that please self-moderate.
Yeah.
The guns are heavy. They're all metallic. So they've got weight to them. They feel like a real weapon. And you're still playing on 5 acres. And it's rough terrain. We kept it rough on purpose. It's not like a flat field you're thinking of. There's hills, there's rocks, there's trees, there's cover, there's shrubs. There might be an anthill or a cactus you can fall on. So I always tell people be careful.
Okay, so what's the cost?
It's $30 a person for about an hour's worth of play. Every game is structured differently. So within that hour, it could be a 2-round match. Or for example, when we play like Search and Destroy at night, it's usually best out of 5. So the structure in itself changes. And then of course we have group discount and private events work a little bit differently.
Cool. How did you get the land? It's a lot of land.
So we bought the land. So we bought the land. We where we're at right now, it's 25 acres. So we've got
a lot.
25 acres. And then we actually play right now on the 5.
Okay. What are you doing with the other 20?
We also run combat archery for now, which is like, imagine dodgeball with bows and arrows.
I played it.
It was a lot of fun.
My friend's birthday, he used to live at this apartment complex on the lake trail. And we called a company and they came out and set it up.
Oh, nice.
It was really fun. Yeah.
So play combat archery. I always joke, like, if you miss the satisfaction of like hurting your friends, not just digitally, you can play combat archery and shoot in the face too. You get best of both worlds. And then our goal ultimately, as we expand, because we have the land, we love to set up a secondary field. We've got a really flat portion of the field. So far, I'm giving you like all the insider knowledge, but we're hoping to set up like almost like a Nuketown situation or like a really close quarter room clearing game mode for like more advanced play. My dream is to buy like a used helicopter and like throw it in the middle of the field or something.
That's very cool.
And then maybe ultimately like build out a bar and, you know,
make it like a spot to hang out.
That's
and
the
have
goal.
Some drinks,
the goal is to like hang out, you know, play whatever you want. Yeah, have a bar going, maybe like bring out like live bands and stuff. It's awesome. Like we got to be outside. We have the space to make it something really cool.
When did you get the land?
Oh man, we bought the land December 2019. And it was really raw. Like when we bought it, it was like there's nothing on it. Imagine like the wilderness. And then we started, you know, the process of February, starting to clearing it out, mapping it out. Obviously COVID hit. And so it took us forever to get permitting just because everything slowed down. So we didn't open until October of 2020.
Can I ask how much the land costs?
We got it at a real cheap discount.
Okay.
We got a steal on it. Plus it was right before the Tesla factory was announced. And so we got a steal. Let's just say that.
I was going to say, I imagine just the value of the land in 10 years, like who knows how much the land will be worth in 10 years. Just the real estate alone is probably a good investment.
Yeah. And that was our thing too, is not just for this business, but this goal of creating this kind of like hangout spot where you could play multiple things, like an outdoors adventure experience. Ranch is like the ultimate goal, and we wanted more land so we could build that. So we had space to expand.
That's really cool. So how did you meet your partner, and how is your partnership kind of shaped, like your role versus
right? So
his or
my
her?
husband is my partner, so it's me and Sam.
Okay.
And the whole story behind how this came to be was basically Sam was in Australia. He just went out, he was studying abroad. He just went out with a couple of friends to play with this tech. And he just saw the opportunity. And this was, I want to say like 8 years ago at this point.
Oh, okay.
And obviously then it was an earlier version of what the guns are able to do now.
And are you still buying from Australia?
So we bought the guns from Australia. The software is pretty open source that they provide.
Cool.
So we were the ones that structured it in the way that we wanted to.
Oh, awesome. So did you pay programmers, or do you
we did it ourselves. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of development kit that they provide? Like, I don't know, like if you know what the Arduino boards are, like they're, you know, little boards you can program, and they come with their own programming language and stuff like that.
It's its own programming language. It's a little more simpler than that. It's just a lot of like yes, no, if then statements. So it was enough that we were able to figure it out, and then kind of structured how we wanted.
What is the name of the company that sells the guns? I'm curious. I'm going to look it up later.
I believe it's Battlefield Sports is the name of the company.
Sports? Yeah. Okay. So, you know, this was 8 years ago, and then you started, this opened in October. You bought the land last year. Well, like over a year ago, I guess. And so you really got the ball rolling when you bought the land.
Right. And, Sam has always had this idea. He's like, hey, I think this could be really unique in that, there's this opportunity in this space, right? So you have your airsoft, you have your paintball, and you have your laser tag. And this is kind of laser tag, kind of not, right? And I think there's this need for something more advanced and to recreate basically all the fun parts of video games, like the upgrades, right? And the drops and the different modes to recreate that in real life.
I always tell my friends, like, I used to be into gaming, and then I just, whatever reason, the past 2 years, I like completely lost interest in it, other than I still play one game on my phone, Clash Royale. But I always joke that, like, I'll get into gaming again when VR is good enough to like really immerse you in a world. But I always wish there was a way to play games that actually use your physical body, which of course there was paintball and these other things, but like this sounds like a good.
Yeah, and that's kind of like our first vision of using this technology that kind of already exists and us tweaking it. But ultimately, what I'd love to do is get to a point where we could add like a component of AR and do like a heads up display. So instead of like your HP and your ammo and everything being on the gun display, it could be in the glasses. So you see it in real time, right? In the same way that you would in the first person view when you're playing like Call of Duty.
Your kill count, everything.
Yeah, exactly. Your
KD
KD and everything could be in a display. And then, I mean, ultimately, would be really cool to add an aspect of like real augmented reality where you're able to like see things pop up, where you're able to see which weapon is currently sitting in which box rather than coming up, looking at the display and then grabbing
maybe even some blood comes out when you shoot somebody.
I wish. Maybe that would be more satisfying, like an 80s movie where it's a little splatter.
Yeah. That's all really cool. So do you have health right now? Like as things are now, do you have health, or is it like one hit, like you're done?
So depends on the game mode.
Okay.
So for standard games, everybody's got 25 points of health, and you get hit. It depends. The damage depends on the type of weapon you're being hit by. So if you're getting shot by like a sniper rifle, for example, you put me on the spot now. I got to remember if I know my weapons by heart. I think a sniper rifle is 13 points of damage. So theoretically, that's a 2-shot kill. The P9, if you're shooting somebody with the P90, I believe the damage is 6 points. The subsonic honey badger is 8 points, and so on. So we've got about 300 weapons that you could theoretically fire with, right? Equip your guns with, and it all depends. All their stats change basically.
So, and I guess what I was getting at is what changed to where like the idea was finally executed on.
So so Sam has this idea. He's had it for 8 years. He's like, hey, this is really cool. We should do this potentially. And then both of us were originally from LA, and we've been out here for 4 years now. And so about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5, he's like, hey, if we look for some land, right? Like, and we get a plot of land, like, A, it's a really great real estate investment in Austin, right? But then B, we can make this happen and actually like talk to the guys out in Australia, see how much they're going to let us customize, right? Like see how much we can kind of open things up and tweak and make our own. So we started that conversation with that company, say, hey, what could we do? How much are you allowing us to customize, right? Like how much flexibility do we have to recreate this? The conversation went really well. Then we started looking for land.
The conversation with who?
The Australian company.
Oh, the Australian. Yeah. Oh, how much you can customize the weapons?
Yeah, because we reached out like, hey, if we wanted to buy the guns off of you and you have this proprietary software that you could use, what does that all include? What are the actual, like, what does the back door look like? What could we customize? What couldn't we customize? What
were the two of you doing before you were doing this? Is this completely full-time now? All other things dropped or not?
We both have full-time jobs.
Okay.
Sam is in market research. He does a lot of market research and consumer testing for video games. So he comes up with a lot of the game modes. And I am a product manager by day and Battleground Ranch owner by night.
That's a good combo to have.
Yeah.
You opened in October. How did you start marketing it?
A lot of it has been just awareness, a lot of digital marketing, more so just an education awareness, right? Like, what is it exactly, right? Like I keep saying, is it laser tag? Is it airsoft? Is it paintball? So a lot of just like informational stuff, a lot of social media outreach. We did a really cool thing right before we opened. We ran a beta test. So we just like open called on Facebook and Instagram, like, hey, anybody want to come out, try this cool new thing and help us structure the game modes? And it was really awesome at a huge event, like 60, 70 people were out there. And then they played through a bunch of the game modes we had already designed. They give us really great feedback and that really helped us structure how we run things today.
That's awesome. So how busy have you stayed since you've opened?
So it was slow in the beginning. I think it's A, COVID, and then B, awareness, right? Just people are like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times people come out like, oh, damn, I thought this was paintball. Or, oh, man, I thought this was like indoor laser tag. And so we've now seen starting April, like an upturn.
Gotcha.
I think both things, this market awareness now is there. And also, it's warmer. People are getting more comfortable getting out and being out.
Okay, cool. So what are your future plans for marketing it? Are you just kind of letting things be pretty organic right now, or just continuing on social media?
No, actually a perfect question, because this is the conversation we're having right now. Is like, now we've been open like 9 months. What do we want to do? I think the kind of the market awareness is now there. So people know, at least heard of us. They kind of know what it is, kind of don't. There's still this like a little bit of a question mark. We get those kind of questions, outreach. But now our goal is a couple of things. I would love to partner with a couple of the video game developers out here in Austin. I know more are moving, and actually try to see if they're releasing like an FPS game, if we can actually recreate it out at the ranch and do something cool like that.
Nice.
I don't know if Activision's going to pick up my calls, but maybe start smaller. But I think that would be really cool to see if there's a new game that's being rolled out. Is this something that we could actually recreate and partner with them?
I watched a video of yours that was a marketing video, and I don't remember if I watched it on the website or not, but it was well done. I thought it was really cool. Do you know the video I'm talking about?
So we have a main video on our website.
Yeah, it's probably that
one. And I think
then.
that's the one is used a lot. Yeah. So yeah, I love that one because I think it gives you like a sense of all the possibilities.
Mm-hmm. What is the website, by the way?
Just battlegroundranch.com.
Battlegroundranch.com.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that was available.
Yeah, actually, me too. I think it was actually the first name we agreed on. We both liked it. And then I just like went to GoDaddy. I was like, oh, purchase.
Nice.
If it's available, I'm not going to hesitate and got it.
I like hover.com for buying domains just because GoDaddy's so clunky and annoying to use.
It is a lot, right? It's just very like I think there's too many features. Got to clean it up a little bit.
It looks like almost like you're looking at an advertisement or something instead of like trying to, I don't know.
Yeah, there's
like
a lot of that. A lot
done.
of upsells, right? A lot of like things you could do. But I was saying as far as the video goes. So what we started doing now, which I'm really excited about, is we started mounting GoPros on a bunch of the guns. So we have a couple new really cool videos coming out when you actually get to see that like FPS style view.
That's
where
awesome.
you see like the front of the gun, or like you just see the barrel, and then the view.
I mean, it lends itself to a lot of good marketing, video marketing.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Who's doing you paying someone to put those together?
Yeah, so we're mounting all the GoPros and doing stuff, obviously like op stuff on the field, and then we're working with like a marketing team, and one of the guys does the videos for us.
Cool. How long have you been in Austin?
4 years now.
4 years?
4 years, yep.
You and your husband moved here together?
Yeah. Yeah,
from where?
we're from LA.
From LA? Interesting. Why?
I like to think I'm an early Californian exit, but I don't know if
you try to keep that a secret.
I don't know if local Texans feel that way.
I would say that's early enough. I mean,
I feel Texan now. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get mad at people for moving here. It's whatever. It's a free country. So why did you decide to move from LA though?
Multiple reasons. I think for me personally, I grew up in LA, and so to me, after a while, everything feels just like a small town, and I was just kind of tired of the scene. I needed a change. And I just felt like California in general and LA were just getting a little insane and unreasonable. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to change. And but I always worked in tech. I always worked in startups. So I wanted to go somewhere that has got a really good and exciting startup scene. And really, Austin was number one.
Yeah,
it's not a hard sell once we came out and saw the city.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I came out here in 2013 for similar reasons. I was thinking about going to San Francisco. I lived in Indiana. I was actually living in Chicago at the time, but I just was like, oh man, that costs so much to live there. It's crazy. Like, and it just seems so crowded. And then I visited here and I was like, it doesn't seem crowded. It seems kind of like a small city. Mm-hmm. It is like, when you look at it, it looks really tiny. I mean, I know we have like a high population, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way. I guess it's just because it's so spread out, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, just all the outdoor stuff, and there's several lakes around, which I was surprised by.
Yeah,
I was picturing more of like a deserty like.
I think that's everybody's impression, right? You think Texas, you think like that tumbleweed that goes by in like the Wild Wild West movie. So
I think the only one, I was in Marfa this year and a tumbleweed like blew by on the street, and we're like, yeah, finally, like
finally Texas gave me what I've been imagining this whole time. But honestly, that was the first thing we said when we came out to Austin. We're like, wow, it's so green. There's so much water around. And then anytime we have friends visit, that's their first impression. Mm-hmm. They're like, whoa, this is so green. This is not what I expected. So it's kind of nice.
Cool. So as far as serving drinks and stuff there, what's involved in being able to do that? I mean,
to like open up a bar?
Oh, wait, actually it's BYOB, so that gets you around like a lot of like you haven't opened a bar yet, right?
Correct. So the plan is ultimately to do that. So right now we're a BYOB facility. We just ask people to obviously moderate themselves, and one of our big asks is not to leave open containers out, so that like if you walk away from your drink, I don't know who else is there to grab it from you. So that's really our only ask.
Also, the ants will just get worse.
Exactly. Or if you're drinking something really sugary, I don't want to have the whole anthill on top of the spots. But the ultimate goal is to open up a bar.
Yeah. When do you think you're going to get the ball rolling in that? Is that just kind of like on the back burner? Or?
So we've talked about it. There's a couple of, I've been looking at some of the rules in like Travis County and Austin around the different bars. I think if I understood it correctly, there is a certain type of liquor license you can get through Travis County where it's a no pour license. So I can sell you a can of beer that you can basically open yourself, but I can't pour you a glass of wine in that sense. So I could sell you like the individual containers basically. And it's an easier and cheaper license to get because once you start getting to those like full bar licenses, it can get really expensive and pretty pricey. So that's the goal, is to start with this no pour type of service where I can just sell cans basically. And it'll be wine and beer, obviously.
It's easier and faster service anyway.
Easier and faster, exactly.
Speaking of money, how are you funding it?
It's all self-funded.
Self-funded?
All self-funded, yeah.
And are you planning on continuing down that path, or are you weighing options as far as maybe trying to get people to invest?
So far, so good. Knock on wood. Where it's also self-funded. So things like the bar and whatever, I think we can self-fund. Where I think we will eventually probably want and need to raise money or invest if we do start talking about like AR stuff, right? And any kind of like augmented reality
Yeah. I don't know how the status of AR as far as like, is there a company already that has glasses that has an open source thing that you can maybe program
Honestly, I
to
haven't
your
looked into
particular
it
needs?
yet.
Yeah.
I really want to get this kind of rolling and well established before I start looking into it. But I mean, time is on our side, right? Every 6 months, there's things get cheaper, better, faster. So when I think we're ready for that conversation, we'll look into it. But yeah, I'm sure there's something open source that we could do, or potentially even just bring in maybe like a partner that is a little more of a developer background. Because I mean, as a product manager, like I know enough code to be dangerous but not useful. So I don't think I'd be able to do it myself. But being able to add that component to me, I think would be really exciting, because that's like a real first person shooter game, right? Where you're able to like be in glasses and see your health here, your ammo count here, what weapon you're carrying here, and it'll swap when you're switching weapons.
Cool. Well, if you go that road and you just want somebody's opinion, I'm a programmer, so I'd be happy to take a look at whatever you're using.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think we would need to, well, we can have that conversation later on, but I have some ideas based on the way that the tech kind of works now and how to structure that. We probably would need to do is upgrade the kind of motherboards and the processing power in the gun itself, so that everything is from within the gun. And
so would you go through that company in Australia, or are you going to modify the guns?
I think I would modify it. Because I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I kind of threw that idea out to the guys in Australia. I don't know if they took me seriously. It was just an offhanded comment, but we haven't had that conversation to say like, hey, they're in or out.
What is the nature of their company? So like, they've obviously got a pretty cool guns because you guys wanted to buy them, and you just happened to have heard about him because he was in Australia. It was like this complete chance thing.
Right.
What are they doing with their guns? Like they don't typically sell them to people.
Right. So, I mean, they sell them as a package, because you're not going to buy two, right? You're going to buy them to either like run a business to be able to provide this, a gaming experience. From my understanding, for the most part, they will sell the guns to either companies, or like even sometimes I've heard like bowling alleys and stuff. But they're still using it for like little kid laser tag.
Okay, so that's what I was wondering. So it's still primarily used for little kids laser tag.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, vastly underutilizing this technology.
They made a pretty cool gun, and they're
honestly, like it's just, and it's not just that. I think it's not so much that they're underutilizing it. It's their operators, I think, are a little underutilizing it.
Gotcha.
At least this is in my humble opinion.
but they're in the business of manufacturing and selling guns. They don't make events. They don't.
Correct. They themselves don't run it. They manufacture it and sell them.
Okay.
At least I don't think, but no.
Yeah. Okay. Had you looked to see if there's any other people with similar guns? Or
yeah, so we did a little bit of research. We settled on these guys where we thought it was a little bit best of both worlds as far as like price goes versus like customization, right? I think if I remember correctly, there was another company we looked into, but they were much more expensive, and now I can't remember why.
I want to go back a little bit to like what people do at the actual venue. How much time do people spend there? Because I imagine it could wear you out pretty quick.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. It's the number one comment we get across the board is, holy crap, I'm out of shape.
Yeah.
I did not realize what I was signing up to. And not just because it's hot right now, but so the way it flows is like this. So you come in, you check in, right? We just ask that you sign the waiver either ahead of time through the email. We have a little QR code on the door. You sign it, you check in. We'll assign you a gun. Sometimes you can pick and choose. Usually it's for most game modes, we'll just assign you a gun, because you still get to pick your class, and that actually determines your standard carry. So the physical gun itself usually doesn't matter for most game modes, but not all. And then everybody will go out. We have a little barn area with some picnic tables and stuff. There's a little fire pit area for when it gets colder. We'll do the briefing. We just go over a couple of basic rules, like, don't hurt yourself. You're running on 5 acres. We will assign teams. We will then go through the gun functionality. So how do the red dot sights work, right? How the reload button works and the functionality. Because you don't get unlimited reloads. You have to, keep track of your magazine count and all that. How does switching from single shot to fully auto work? If the gun is like, if you're running with an AK-47, you can do that, obviously. How does it work to switch between weapons, right? If you are, like I mentioned, I think the sniper class, how do I switch from my M82 to the 1911 to the combat knife, right? How melee works. How does it work to be a medic if you can heal your teammates and all that? then we'll assign you the character that you want based on, your team consensus. We always tell people, talk amongst yourself, figure out what your strategy is.
Do you give them any recommendations on their strategy?
We try.
If they're video game players, like they know that like, hey, like you're a medic, obviously your job is to help us get healed. If you're a sniper, be a sniper.
Right. We usually give recommendation based on the game mode because certain game modes work better with certain characters. Like for example, we have a character like an engineer, right? That does a lot of like one of the things they can do is armor repair for their team. If it's a fast-paced, unlimited respawn game mode like team deathmatch or 3-point domination, we usually don't recommend it because like the objective of the game is domination. It's not, like staying alive as long as you can.
Just die and respawn.
Exactly. So for that game, like you could, but it's not ideal, right? It's not what you need. Versus, for example, if we play something like Search and Destroy, we play it all in the dark. We turn all the lights off. And it's all about like, sneaking up on the enemy, detonating the bombs, right? So I always recommend like you'd probably want to have a grenadier on your team because they've carry an RPG and the RPG does splash damage. So if you can sneak up on like 4 people, you shoot one, the other 3 will take damage as well. Right? So we try to do, give them those kinds of tips.
So when you die and you are playing a respawn game, do you just like run back to a base?
Correct. You run back to your respawn location, respawn and reload.
How far away would you typically be from respawn?
Depends on where you die. It's 5 acres. It's a huge piece of land. So running around, yeah.
And how long does a typical game last? Like, let's say Search and Destroy. Well, Search and Destroy could last a long time, right?
Let's do like the simplest game, like Team Deathmatch. Okay, so I'll go through all the dynamics, right? Because it's hard to like jump from game mode to game mode. So Team Deathmatch is pretty simple. It's very fast paced, a run and gun. Objective is team with the least deaths or least respawns wins. So we make a small tweak to the objective. Like, hey, think about that. Yeah, you want to be murdering their team, but make sure you're being careful yourself, right? Team with the least respawn wins. We play 2 20-minute rounds, and what we 2 teams. We could do 4 teams. It kind of depends on the group. And what we usually do is in the second round, we will flip the field side so that everyone has equal advantage of the field because the field is pretty rough and it's not a mirror image of each other. So you want to make sure everyone's got a good advantage. And then for that game mode, so you have your 2 spawn points. They're in the 2 big forts. With 2 kind of forts opposite of one another. The forts have snipers nests in them, so you can go up the stairs and get a better vantage point if you wanted to. And the whole field is in play, and we usually have a perk box out somewhere. I don't like to tell people where the perk boxes or the weapon boxes, like a mystery box. I like for them to figure it out. Sam likes to tell people. I guess he's like nicer. He wants to tell people where stuff is. I don't. So we sometimes kind of mess with our groups, and depending on kind of what we're in the mood for. And then once in a while, if Sam and I are both there, or if I'm there with one of our refs, I'll say, okay, you know what? I'll take Team Alpha down, you take Team Bravo down, and then we pick a team basically, and we're like, all right, you guys are Team Alex today. Here are all of my pro tips. Like, you better win. Okay. So we play like a little bit of an internal game with us to see if we pick the winners, basically.
Very cool.
Usually Team Alex wins. I don't like to brag, but it's kind of a known fact that Team Alex. If I pick you on my team, like, you're going to win. I give you all the good spots.
What kind of people do you see showing up? Younger people? So
our average player is a man in his like late 20s, early 30s. So coming out with friends, either, like a bachelor party or a team event or just a bunch of friends going out. We sometimes get calls about like, younger players. We usually say 13 and up is our kind of standard gameplay, just because the guns are heavy. It's a big field and it's just not designed for young kids.
Yeah, so, you can run and trip so easily and get hurt. So
easily, and the guns are heavy, right? And the kids, they do get tired, right? Plus, it's just not a good experience for 11-year-olds to be playing with a bachelor party. So it's not good for either of them, right? We've had younger players. We have like sometimes we could do 10 and up. We usually like to do those as private events. So we make some gameplay adjustments. It makes it easier to play. Less complicated, basically.
Well, let's run through another game type then. Let's run through domination.
Cool. Okay, so domination, 2 teams, 2 20-minute rounds, and there are 3 domination points across the middle of the field. And the objective of the game is the team that holds the domination points collectively the longest wins. So everyone starts at the bottom of the hill, the 2 respawn locations. The 3 domination points are kind of stacked up the hill, down the middle. And we show you where all of that is. That you have to know.
Yeah.
I can't hide that from you.
Yeah.
And essentially, if you ever played like the domination, I think battlefield games where you basically keep taking control of the spot. And so they're basically boxes. They're bright yellow boxes with a sensor on top. You shoot the box. Let's say I'm Team Alpha, you're Team Bravo. I'll shoot the box. It'll say Alpha team in control. For every second I hold the box, I basically get a point. And then we basically fight for control up and down the field. And then the team that holds the collective points the most wins that round.
How do you know when you're in control other than like, are you hear something through a microphone?
So the box itself will say Alpha team in control, and then it'll start blinking your team's color.
Okay.
So Alpha's red, Bravo's blue. So start blinking red or blue.
Okay.
And then you can basically fight for it.
When you die before you've hit respawn, is your gun dead or can people cheat?
So this is very hard to cheat.
Okay.
When the gun communicates with you the whole time. So when you are taking damage, you'll hear like a thump sound, like a sound, like, oh, you're taking damage. When you die, you hear a death scream, like a sound, like, you know, you're dead.
Yeah.
You pull the trigger, it says you're dead. Your light comes on the sensors on your head. And so you're basically disabled. You have to go respawn. There's nothing you can do. Same goes if you're shooting an opponent, you'll hear things like hit, wound, critical, kill. When you kill someone, they're dead, their light comes on. I always tell players, don't waste your ammo on them. And then if you try to shoot a dead player, it says already dead.
Gotcha. Is there anything that you want to touch on that you think is interesting that we haven't talked about or anything like that?
The only thing is I think it's really exciting is we usually try to create a new game mode every month. That's like a special event, something that we're either testing out, right, trying to gauge interest, or we're just kind of screwing around, and Sam and I have like an idea and see if we can get it done. Basically, in the past, we've done really fun stuff. Actually, one of the most popular game modes we've ever had, and people ask about it all the time, is Predator. So you remember the 80s movie, Predator?
Love that movie.
Such a great movie.
Yeah.
And what we do is one of our refs, last time was our ref James, he had way too much fun. I think he had a kill count of like 60 by the end of this. So he put on a ghillie suit. We played all in the dark. All the lights are off. We turned off his muzzle flash. We silenced his weapon. So you can't see him. You can't hear him.
There's a muzzle flash on the weapon and like a light at the end.
Yeah,
so when
light
you
at the
shoot,
end.
it does. Oh, that's good because it kind of reveals your position, which it would in real life.
Especially at night. Yeah, especially at night, it reveals your position. So for him, all that is off. He's silent. He goes and hides somewhere on the 5 acres, right? And then it's like a all V1. So all the players, their lights come on. So it's a red dot that you could see. So he basically has like heat vision, like in the movie where he can see you. You can't see him. And you still get to pick your classes and everything, but your muzzle flash is on, your lights are on, and basically you have 20 minutes to find him if you can.
That's really
And then
cool.
he'll just like pick you off, and people loved it. People work together on that game mode more than I've ever seen people strategize before.
Hey everyone, this is your host Justin. I just wanted to thank everyone for listening and give those that are new to the podcast a reminder to please subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player. If you're on YouTube, please like the video, share it with a friend. That helps us out. Thank you. Nice.
So we might definitely bring that back. And then we're working on some really cool stuff for Halloween. We haven't finalized it yet, but last year we did Nazi zombies, where we turned all the lights off and you basically had to fight. It's like kind of like a scavenger hunt meets a zombie survival game. So we're working on something cool for Halloween. We'll probably run it for all of October. And so yeah, like sometimes we're just screwing around and finding cool stuff.
It sounds like a really fun business to have.
Yeah, it's really creative, which I like. Last month, we built out gun game, where you start with a crappy gun and you upgrade every time you kill someone. That was a lot of fun. So we're just tweaking stuff still. You know, we're still new. We're trying to figure out what people like, bringing back old game modes, switching them up, just having a good time.
Cool. So do you plan on, I mean, it's got to be a lot balancing your full-time work, both of you, with doing this. I mean, are you trying to go full-time on the business soon, or is that not in the immediate
Maybe I guess it depends on how we grow, right? Like if we're exploding, like I'm not gonna cry about it, right? I think out of the two, maybe Sam would go full time, and I would stick with my job. But it depends. We're playing it by ear right now. We're trying to really figure out like what sticks and what people like to do.
Do you have any teams that are kind of regulars yet?
Not yet. We did think about doing like a house team, and then have people come out and play against the house team. Just like us and all, you know, the owners and the refs, see if you can kind of beat the team. But I think one of the things we definitely want to do is probably maybe like September or November, we'll do a tournament.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You have a cash prize tournament.
Yeah, tournament I think will definitely either before or after Halloween, because Halloween it'll be like a big month-long thing. Probably maybe after Halloween we'll do a cash prize tournament, especially for everybody who's been out there before. Just to come out at like squads of 6, and we'll do basically like an elimination round till the very end.
Even, I mean, you could eventually even have a league.
Yeah, that was something we definitely thought about. Leagues would be really awesome, especially for guys that have come out often, like they know what they're doing. Because it always takes, I always tell people, it takes one time to figure everything out. Because when you come out, you've never done this before. It's a lot of info being thrown at you. How do I respawn? How do I reload? How do I switch weapons? Like, what does this button do, right? Like, how do I see this thing? It's like a little overwhelming, right, in the first time. But once you've come out once, you're like, oh, I get it now. Now I can strategize. So it's a lot of fun to see people come back, and they've really thought about it. They're like, okay, I know how this field works. I know what we did wrong last time. We have a strategy this time, guys. Like, don't embarrass me. Don't screw up.
Do you ever jump in and play with people?
Yeah. Actually, yesterday, we ran a game, and Sam jumped in, and our refs jumped in as well. It was very cute. Yesterday we had our first Battleground Ranch proposal. Shout out to our ref James. He proposed to his girlfriend, which was really exciting.
Oh wow.
He won. Really cool. He won the first round, and he got a fiance, so he's winning that day. But yeah, our refs jump in all the time. They love it.
How did you find them? Just friends?
They found us.
Oh,
yeah. Because when we were doing the beta test and everything, yeah, they came out. They had a really good time. Like, hey, I want to work for you.
Cool.
So it turned out really well. But yeah, we jump in all the time. I love shooting people.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. This is a really
absolutely.
Interesting business. I'm definitely going to come check it out soon. Bring my girlfriend out there and bring some friends out there.
Yeah, you have to. It's a lot of fun. It's one thing to hear about it. It's a totally like immersive experience once you get out there.
It's a great idea. I mean, I'd be surprised if it didn't take off.
Let's hope.
Yeah. So people can find it at battlegroundranch.com. Do you have any social accounts?
Yep.
Social media accounts?
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. Battleground Ranch is our handle. And we're also starting to do a lot of cool stuff with like Local Buzz, just getting the word out about this cool thing that we're doing here in Austin.
Cool.
And in Austin only.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for having me.